The following video is about domain and range and interval notation. In this section, we want to be able to use interval notation to represent the domain and range of a function. We want to be able to find the domain and range of a function defined by an equation and also given a graph. So just as a warm-up, when we have the inequality symbol A is less than B, that means this inequality symbol means less than. This inequality symbol here, A greater than B, means A is greater than B. And then, of course, we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So for these examples here, insert the correct inequality symbol between each pair of numbers. A good way to think about this is like a hungry alligator. That alligator wants to eat, that's not a very good alligator, but wants to eat the bigger number. So always open to the bigger number. Okay? So in this case, 5 is less than 13. Negative 14 is less than negative 3. 5/6 and 11/15. You might have to think about this one a little bit. You could put these into decimals. Let's do that. The first one is 0.83 repeating, and the second one is 0.73 repeating, and so 0.83 is greater. Alternately, you could get a common denominator in order to compare those. Here we have negative 2, which is less than 0, 0.12, which is greater than 0.098. Okay? All right, so when we use interval notation is a succinct way for us to communicate mathematics, and we're always going to use brackets when the n value is included, and parentheses when it's not included. So if we have this little equal to bar here, here, or an actual equal sign, we're going to use a bracket. And for all of the others here, we're going to use a parentheses. Since we never actually reach infinity or negative infinity, we're going to use parentheses around any infinities in our solution sets. So if we're talking about the entire real number line, everything here from positive infinity, negative infinity, all the way to positive infinity, we're going to call this negative infinity to infinity. Sometimes you will see this as this fancy R, which means all real numbers. The U symbol, no tail on the U, not like this, but just a basic U, stands for union, and it applies that both sets are part of the solution set. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. We're going to first graph these on a number line because that helps us visualize what we want to do for our interval notation. And then we'll use set builder notation. We don't use that very often, but I will put that here in the notes. So if I want to talk about x is less than negative 4, on the number line, here's 0, here's negative 4. So I want all of the values less than negative 4. So I'm going to put a parenthesis here and go less than, shade that way. So now when I read this, I read from left to right, and I'm going to call this negative infinity up to negative 4. That would be the interval notation. Set builder notation is a set, so we put these curly brackets, and we say x, we put a bar that's read such that x is less than negative 4. So we would read this, x such that x is less than negative 4. I should mention that in some textbooks on the graph, rather than using a parenthesis, they use an open circle. Shade it to the left. So you'll see me use either an open circle or a parenthesis bracket. Okay, x is greater than or equal to 3. On the number line, here's our 3. Because this has the equal to, we're going to use a bracket and we're going to shade to the right. Okay, so this is going to be bracket 3 to infinity, or in set builder notation, x such that x is greater than or equal to 3. Lastly, we have an or statement here. We want x to be between 0 and 2, including 0, or between 3 and 5. So on the number line, let's go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from -1 to 5. So we want to include the 0 and not include the 2. So we're going to go bracket here and parenthesis here because we want everything in there. And then we want from 3 to 5 and everything in there. So we might say, if we read this graph, bracket 0 to 2, parentheses, union 3 to 5, parentheses. And again, set builder notation, we would just write x such that, and then we would repeat this inequality symbol just like this. So we very often use interval notation. While you're learning to use it, it's a very good idea to always do your graph so that you can read the graph from left to right. So now let's talk about domain and range. As we stated before, the domain is the set of all possible x values that a function can take on. These are our inputs. And the range is the set of all y values that a function can take on. When we read a graph, the domain comes from the x-axis and the range comes from the y-axis. So we're always going to read our domain left to right, and we're going to read our range bottom to top. So on a graph, a circle means the endpoint is included. So this is going to be a closed circle. And an open circle like this is going to mean the endpoint is not included, so we're going to use parentheses. So a closed circle is going to be brackets, and an open circle is going to mean we're using parentheses. So when we look at this first example, from left to right, you'll notice that my domain, the very first, when I'm following my x-axis, the very first x value I have is -5, but it's not included. So I'm going to say -5. And then I keep having x values up until I get to 1. You'll notice the blue graph stops at 1, and it's closed. So I'm going to say 1 bracket. So again, the domain from the bottom to, the range from the bottom to the top, and the domain from the left to the right. So let's take a look at a few more examples and use interval notation to determine the domain and the range for the following graphs. We'll do this first one together, and then you can pause the video and check your answers for the rest. So notice on this that we have arrows. These arrows mean that this actually is going to continue on, and we're going to assume it's continuing on in the same pattern. So in this particular case, the domain is going to be -infinity up to infinity, because we're always going to have a function value. And the range is going to be, bracket, because we're going to actually be there. At -3 is our lowest, and 3 is our highest. So -3 to 3. Now pause your video and see if you can find the domain and the range for the rest of these. So for the second one, you notice the domain and the range is the entire negative infinity to infinity. On the second one, you'll notice that we have a closed circle at -4, and that it increases, and it's going to have a domain of -4 to infinity, and then a range of 0 to infinity because there's no y values below 0. And then on this last one, we're going to have a domain of negative infinity up to 4. So remember, domain is always our x values, and then our range is going to be from -infinity to infinity. Okay. Pause your video again and check yourself on the domain and range of these functions. Okay, so I've drawn in on this first one the vertical asymptote at 2. So we know that we're going to have function values up until 2 and then after 2, but not at 2. So that's why our domain here is -infinity to 2 union 2 to infinity. And for the same reason, our horizontal asymptote is the x-axis. We'll have the range as stated there. For our linear equation, the domain and the range are both all real numbers. The next two can be a little bit confusing. So I have on this first one actually indicated these ordered pairs. So when we're talking about domain, again, we're going from left to right, and the first time we have a function value is at x equals -2. And then the last time we have an x value is at 4 included. So that's why it's -2 to 4 with a bracket. Now, when we do the range, we take our smallest, which is -1, y equals -1, and we're going up until y equals 3. And this last example is very, very similar. So hopefully you got those. Now let's take a look at when a domain is not infinity to infinity. So sometimes when we don't have the graph of a function, but we have the equation of a function, we still need to determine the domain. So there are 3 things that can cause problems for us. The first one is that if we have an x in the denominator of our fraction, because we know we cannot divide by 0. So what we're going to do on this example says find the domain in interval notation. We know that this denominator here, 8 minus 4x, cannot be 0 or the fraction would be undefined. So we're going to get 8 equals 4x, adding 4x to each side, dividing by 4, and we'll get x equals 2. So this is the number that we cannot have. So our interval notation is going to be -infinity up to 2, union 2 to infinity. So we're just kind of skipping over that one number. Another time that the domain is not necessarily -infinity to infinity is when you have a square root. So we can take the square root of 0. The square root of 0 is 0. But you cannot take the square root of a negative number. This would be bad. So what we're going to do is set the expression under the square root to something that is greater than or equal to 0, so positive or 0. And just remember that if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the direction of the inequality symbol changes. So in this particular case, we're going to set our radicand, the x minus 6, and we want to guarantee that that's greater than or equal to 0. And if we add 6 to each side, we get x is greater than or equal to 6. So to help us visualize, I'll put this on a number line. We want to be greater than or equal to 6. So our interval notation will be 6 to infinity. So let's take a look at these following examples and find in the first two domain and range, and then we can use our graphing calculator if we need to visualize the graph. So in this particular case, you have to ask yourself, is there any division by something that could possibly be 0? And the answer here is no. You also have to ask yourself, are there any square roots? And the answer is no. So if those things don't cause problems, then the domain is going to be all real numbers. Now, if we think back to what this graph looks like, or if we graph this on our graphing calculator, we're going to get a graph that looks somewhat like this, where this point here is at -7. But you can see that our range is also going to be from -infinity to infinity. Now, let's take a look at part B. Part B is an absolute value of x plus 3. And again, we ask ourselves, is there any division? No. Are there any square roots? No. So the domain, if those things don't cause any problems, we're going to have -infinity to infinity. And if we graph this, you can use your graphing calculator if you like. We know that an absolute value has this V shape. You can see that the range, the smallest it will ever be is 3, and it will be 3. And the largest it would be infinity. So that's that. All right, so for these next two, let's only look at the domain. We won't worry about the range on these. We're going to ask ourselves here, do we have any division? Yes, we do. So we know that the square root of 3 minus x can't be 0. And we have a square root, so we know that the 3 minus x has to be greater than or equal to 0. So we really can just combine these two here and say that 3 minus x has to be greater than 0. Can't be equal to 0 because that would make the denominator 0. So we get 3 is greater than x, or if we flip that around, x is less than 3. So our domain is going to be -infinity up to 3. Notice the numerator doesn't have anything to do with it. We're only concerned about the denominator. So same thing on part D. We know that this denominator cannot be 0, because if it were 0, that function would be undefined. And if I factor this, I'll get x, well, let's see, has to multiply to 5. 1 times 5 is our only thing. So how about -1 and -5? That adds to -6. And if we set each one of these equal to 0, we're going to get x equals 1 and x equals 5. And these are the things that it actually cannot be, because those are the things that it would cause it to be 0. So if we put these on the number line, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can have anything we want except for those two numbers. So in interval notation, that's going to be -infinity to 1, union 1 to 5, union 5 to infinity. So really the two things you're going to be looking for are division by 0, we know we can't have that, or square root of a negative.